Alright, I'll do a quick walk around the fish room. It's been a couple months, so I'm going to do a quick update. I've been trying to thin down the plant load in most of my tanks because it just gets out of control. So pulled quite a bit out of my tetra tank here during the last water change, and here's where we're at right now. Nothing ever really changes in this tank. I don't know that I've lost a fish in here in probably 2 years. They just keep plugging along. It's blue and red Colombians and some red eyes. A couple flying fox. There's a couple of mono shrimp in here. And I only see them at night when the lights go out, but they've got to be 1.5 inches long. They're ginormous. They're typically hidden back behind these rocks and stuff in the cracks, but about the time I think they're no longer in here, I'll see them running around at night. There's some nereids in here too, as you can obviously see by the eggs all over everything. Yeah, nothing really exciting on here. Angelfish tank. For the longest time I had this breeding pair and then one other female that he didn't dispatch. He's very finicky about what he'll actually allow to live in here. He's killed a lot of stuff that's been in here over the years. So right now it's just this pair. Some nereids, a couple flying fox, and there's a rainbow shark who hides underneath this stump. And he doesn't mess with them, and they don't mess with him. That wasn't the case when I first put them in here. They had a bit of a showdown, but they've come to an agreement. And then, of course, there's a couple of nereids in here as well. Flying fox over there. I use the flying fox primarily to keep my BBA under control. All my tanks have it to some degree, but they keep a pretty good handle on it. My red devil, who's probably close to 1 foot long now. He's a character, mean as ever, like always, but doing well in here. And my hydroponic setup up here. Pothos, there's some lucky bamboo, there's some mint. And one big red devil. Flower horn, he's gotten pretty ginormous. He's about 13, 14 inches now. Yeah, he's going to show off now because he's a ham. He'll let me pet him. I don't know if it's just out of sheer morbid curiosity or if he thinks it's food, but he'll actually let me pet him. Then he swims away and comes back and dances around like a little silly ass. Put a couple of plants in here just out of curiosity to see what he would do, and he hasn't bothered them at all. So that's Anubias, and I got some Java fern in here too. He hasn't bothered them at all. Shoves them around occasionally, like you see, but hasn't torn them up, which is kind of surprising. My crayfish tank down here is at terminal capacity. There's just so many of them in here reproducing nonstop, and I can't give them away as fast as they're reproducing. They're all marbled cray. And literally everywhere you look, every crack, and every crevice, and every orifice, there'll be one hiding. And the fish that are in here are just some rosy minnows that they occasionally do grab every once in a while, but it's not too often. You can see the Rosies could care less about them, so they don't feel the slightest bit intimidated with them. Oh, my shrimp are in hiding. Yep, can't see a single one. Alright then. It's my endlers. I'm sorry. Those are endlers. Those are endlers. These are my cribs. I've got one main breeding pair. They're usually hiding over here. And then there's probably about 15 of their offspring in here. Yeah, that's right. I can't see a single one right now. Trust me, they are in here. Their lights just came on probably 20 minutes ago, so everybody's still asleep and kind of hiding. That's funny. There's at least 20 fish in here, and I can't see a single one. It's a random white cloud and a harlequin rasbora in here, too. That were in here before it became a dedicated crebensis tank, and they just haven't left. Yeah, that's funny. I can't see a damn single fish in here. So when the lights are on and they're awake, they're out and typically pretty territorial. But it's strange because when it's dark and they all go to sleep, they'll all huddle up together, which I don't really get, but whatever. All right. Circus tank. Dojo Loach over here in the corner. It's a random smattering of crazy collection of fish. I did have my yellow lab was in here. I moved it out of my African tank because he was getting pretty beat up. And he recovered in here and then kind of relapsed a little bit and back and forth, but he finally gave up the ghost about a month ago. He was in here for probably 6-8 months doing well. It's a bunch of roseline sharks in here. Some black skirt tetras. There's a silver dower. A couple mollies. There's a couple Burmese border loaches in here. They usually hide inside that log. There's a pictus cat that hides up inside the head of this octopus. It's a bunch of fish in here, but like I said, their lights just came on not too long ago, so everybody's kind of half asleep still. Except for these ass clowns, they're always awake. It's my African cichlid tank. I've been slowly moving more and more foliage in here. I tried some Anubias nana, which if you don't know, Anubias nana, the leaves are like leather. And they still haven't managed to destroy it. It's been a battle of testament because as soon as they chew a leaf off, the Anubias begrudgingly will throw up a new leaf like you see right there. But as you can see, the rest of it's just gnawed down to a stump except for that brand new leaf it threw up last week. I've been moving some braid lamps, Java fern that I break off from other tanks when it gets too big. I've been moving some Java fern. This piece has probably been in here for 6 or 8 months. And they tear it up a little bit, but not too bad. So last week I tore this chunk out of the my tetra tank over the first tank on this video. So this is a chunk I moved in here, and surprisingly they've been okay with it, which is weird because anyone who keeps Africans know that they will absolutely destroy and relocate all your gravel and rip plants apart, and they're pretty much assholes. But somehow these guys have been okay with Java fern. So, if you've got Africans, give some Java fern a try, see how they do with it. The quarantine tank down here still has my little tetra in it with this tumor. There he is. He hasn't gotten any better or any worse. I mean, it's a tumor, it's not going to go away. But it hasn't gotten any worse looking, and he seems reasonably content in here doing his thing with a couple snails running around with him. So I guess he'll probably just hang out in here until I have some revelation of what to do with him. He can go back in with the rest of my fish, and he was in the circus tank up here initially. But at one point that tumor started getting big and nasty and hairy looking, and I didn't want it to become an issue with cross-contaminating other fish. Not that the tumor is infectious, but it is an open sore that will possibly harbor other bacteria that's already in the tank naturally. So I didn't want him getting something and then possibly spreading it to the rest of them, so I moved him in here, but shit, that's been a year now and he's still kicking. Still trying to get rid of these cichlids. These are offspring from my African tank. And as you see, they're having offspring of their own in here. Most of them, of course, get eaten because there's not a whole lot of hiding spots in here. But the strong will survive. And there's a guy in here, just went behind his filter. But he's probably half to 3/4 of an inch long, and he's beaten the odds and has survived amongst the rest of these guys in here all trying to eat them. So again, if anyone's looking for African fry, by all means hit me up and I will give you as many as you like. There's one guy in here that I should have culled him. He's completely misshapen. He almost looks like a parrot, a blood parrot. But doesn't seem to be in any pain, and he sure gets around fine. But he's really weird looking. And there's more over here. This tank is also smattered with a bunch of fry from the fry. I threw a bunch of Java moss in here, which of course gives them a bunch of hiding spots and better chance of survival, which I don't know why, because last thing I need is more African fry. Multiple tanks full of them here I'm trying to get rid of, and the local pet stores that typically buy them from me can't take as many as I'm reproducing here on a regular basis. Since I haven't been able to get rid of these, I haven't stripped my main female in here, who's continually, her right there, she's carrying continuously, and I used to strip her, which is where all these came from. But since I literally have nowhere to go with them, I haven't been stripping her, and as you can see the male showing off right there for her, she's obviously carrying again, and eventually she'll let them out in here and they all get devoured. But said I don't know where to go with them. She is continuously egg bound and carrying. Yeah, so that's about it. Not much of an update. I should say not much new, just a update that everyone's doing fine. There is a couple more Africans in here. I recently took this female in from a friend of mine who'd had her since fry, but she was looking pretty haggard, and her fins were all chewed up. Or actually, what you see now for fins is about 3 times as what she came here with. So it's taken her about 3 or 4 months to get her fins back and her color back, and she's blended right in just fine. Centodonus. But there has been a couple of the fry from down here that I've moved up here. That's one, for instance. That's one there. So occasionally I do move 1 or 2 back up here just to keep the stocking heavily enough to where they can dilute some of the aggression. I'm not exactly sure how many fish are in here right now. I'm guessing about 20 to 25, and it seems to be about just the right number. Where they do chase each other around once in a while, but nobody ever looks beat up. On a very rare occasion, you'll see somebody with a scale that's been nipped, but Mainly it's just males showing off and them chasing each other around, but nobody ever looks beat up or ragged, torn fins or anything. So this is a 125 gallon tank, and this stocking seems to be about ideal to keep the peace the best you can with Africans. There's been a lot of talk on the forums about people wanting to start sumps. This is a 125 gallon tank, like I said. There's the water clarity looking at it through the 6-foot end. And this entire tank is maintained by this 20 gallon sump. This is a 20 long, running the most basic 3-chamber setup you could set up. Just polyfill running through 2 sets of sponges underneath there, into a K1 moving bed, into a static ceramic media bed, DC or Jabo DC T series return pump. Got a little air pump in there with the K1 just to give the bacteria a bit of a boost. And this is a 20 long sump that filters this 125 gallon that looks like this all the time. There's about 1,000 gallons an hour turnover in here, and I don't ever vacuum the gravel in here because they redecorate regularly and they're always rooting through it. Plus there's a myriad of MTS snails in here that are always burrowed down in the gravel when the lights are on, come out at night. But that's what my substrate looks like. I said I haven't vacuumed this gravel in probably 2 years. Like I said, there's enough turnover between the 1,000 gallons or so of return. Plus I've got a wave maker over here. These wave makers are pretty neat. You can set multiple settings. You can see there just went into sleep mode because I'm covering the light going from it. If I back up enough, so you can set modes where it flows different patterns when the lights are on during daytime, and then I got it where it tones down at night, so it's not so much movement blowing everybody around at night. So like I said, between that water movement, nothing ever settles. You occasionally see turds and waste floating around here, but it never settles, and it always eventually gets picked up down here by the overflow or the bottom weir. And I said, and all that is filtered with a 20 gallon long, very simple sump setup. I see a lot of people talking about, oh, I've got a 125, and how big of a sump do you think I should use? And everybody says, oh, you need a 75 or 90, which is just ridiculous because, like I said, that's a 20 long with plenty of filtration. My water parameters are always spot on in here, and there's 20 plus large African cichlids in here. I mean, she's a good 7 inches long. So is she, big haps. Alright, well, guess that's about it, so see ya.